podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
So we've missed how many games? Bournemouth, Rostov, Chelsea and Borough since we recorded last.
That's right. I believe we did not cover the festival of football that was Man United away at Rostov. What an exciting encounter. That was so much to break down and discuss about that one too.
Yes, mainly the pitch, which broke down a lot.
And was disgusting.
Really an absolute cabbage patch. And, just played long all game, probably non-league standard. Well, not quite, but, in terms of the football, not quite non-league standard. Not much above it, though. Slightly better against Borough. A weird game against Chelsea, obviously very affected by the sending off. And a disappointing draw home to Bournemouth. I think we've missed all of that.
Yeah, that one hurt. That one hurt a lot, didn't it? That Bournemouth draw. It hurt almost as much as all the other terrible draws we've had this season.
We've won away from home more often than we've won at home this season, and it's the thing that may or may not stop United progressing into the next season's Champions League. It looks like the Europa League might be the best bet. Maybe.
Well, who knows? Not now. We're flying high in the league. Like, it's all changed now, isn't it?
Whoa.
It's all changed now.
It's been a crazy weekend. I mean, we're in 6th place for 100 days. And then we're in 7th. And then we're in 5th. And the Mourinho outers came out when we dropped down to 7th for a while.
Yeah, it's so funny. It really reminded me, actually, the conversation about Mourinho really reminded me of what was going on before we went on that long winning run earlier this season. There are a lot of people out there who never wanted him at the club, which is understandable, sure, who are just waiting. They're just waiting for things to not be good. And they're like, right, see, ha ha. Things are not good. Of course, all people that have got Man United's best interests at heart, no doubt.
Sure. Look, and in sort of a macro sense, United being 7th isn't really good enough, is it?
No, it is not.
Given the talent available, I think it's probably better than 7th. Probably.
Just about.
Although, looking at some of our defending today against Middlesbrough, you might question that. Mike Smalling not having his best game and or season. Okay, so where do we go? Bournemouth, really disappointing. Pattern that's been repeated, just terrible. Then away to Rostov, just an ugly game of football, which Mourinho did the right thing, played 3 at the back and just launched it. Basically, because you couldn't play football through midfield. Paul Pogba took a hell of a lot of criticism for that game. I was thinking to myself, I mean, of all the games, and it wasn't his best performance, for sure, but of all the games to criticise him for, that's not the one where the ball was just going over his head all the time.
Yeah, it was wacky. It was really wacky, the response to Paul Pogba, almost as if there are socio-cultural forces at work in the discussion around
Interesting that, yes. Not enough effort being made by Paul Pogba, right? I think Ron Atkinson would agree with that.
And also the you want more from a £90 million player. This came on the back of the Bournemouth game where I think he had that chance late on and just really lacked composure. But every time I see £90 million player, I just want to shake people and go, you have to stop calling him that. You have to stop calling him that as if it means what it meant even 12 months ago. Like, the deal was 105 million euros, right? It's a huge amount of money, but it would have been 74 million pounds had it gone through at the beginning of June, first of all. And second of all, this is the summer in which Granit Xhaka moved for £35 million. There is a new paradigm. Islam Slimani was £30 million for Leicester. The transfer fees just don't mean what they used to. The Pogba transfer is so obviously an equivalent of a £50 million transfer a year and a half ago. So you want good from him. You want consistently good from him. You want him to be one of the best midfielders in the league, but you cannot expect him to be Ronaldo or Bale or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the way I necessarily see it. Okay, fine. That's a way of defending him, saying, well, you know, perhaps you shouldn't slap the price tag on it. The expectations are too high. I think the expectations should be high. I think he's got all the talent to be the best central midfielder on the planet, and he's not quite shown it this season, and let's hope it's a season of some progression and bedding in and fitting back into what is not a great Manchester United side, and as the side improves, he'll improve with it. You know, I prefer to kind of see it like that. I think expectations should be high around him because he's a superb player. Anyway, so that was Rostov, and then went on to Chelsea, and for the first 20 minutes or so, United looked good. I think everyone assumed that Mourinho would park the bus, 8 at the back, and do the full Inter, as you called it.
Or do the full Middlesbrough, as we shall now call it.
Yeah, right. And it didn't really work out like that until the sending off.
Yeah, and that game really reminded me of the Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid, where the second leg, where expectations were so kind of weighted against United in a way. We were heavy second favourites for that fixture, and like people have had a go at Mourinho for blaming circumstances, and can kind of understand that in a way. Blaming circumstances is never a good look in general, but you also have to be realistic about these things. Like, everything that could have gone wrong for that game basically went wrong. Now, some of this is on Mourinho in a way, like there hasn't been enough rotation throughout the season, but you have this concatenation of circumstances where we're drawn away to Chelsea, which is obviously the worst available draw in the FA Cup, so not the end of the world, but that's bad luck, you could say. Immediately following that, we're drawn in the Europa League against a team as far away as we could have travelled, on a pitch that was immediately deemed unplayable by the Russian Premier League. Like, the Russian Premier League said this pitch is not good enough. So this is very hard to deal with. Plus you have the suspension to Ibrahimovic, which is a huge factor. And then you get the injuries to Martial, Rooney, that's less of a thing. But, you know, the options kind of decrease around him. And then it all goes... He gets it, I think, tactically, basically right. Putting Jones on Hazard was it reminded me of what Fergie did, putting Jones on Ronaldo in that game. It looked kind of absolutely at the races, ready to go. And then Michael Oliver comes in and is the final nail in the concatenation of circumstances coffin.
Right, yeah, and I didn't feel the need to blame Mourinho at all for what happened in that game. I think Michael Oliver got it horribly wrong for the Herrera red card. I know some amateur referees in social media have supported that decision, and certainly the analysts in the BBC studio did as well. But I thought they all just got it wrong, basically. I mean, it's quite easy to go look up the rules and the guidance around it. Obstruction, the ball has to be not playable by either player, and you have to move into the path of the player, and Herrera stood still at the point of impact, so that's never obstruction. And the second one, he's tripped the player. But there's this bizarre thing going around trying to say in some way, the individual gets blamed for the team, based on some dumb blog post from 8 years ago. And that was totally wrong as well. Anyway, I've never written 1,200 words on a referee before, but people annoyed me, so I did. Breaking down the rules. So the point being, United were pretty unlucky with that one. Very, very soft. And it completely changed the style, pattern and narrative of the game, didn't it? And it's kind of allowed Chelsea to somehow sit on some moral high horse. Antonio Conte can't do a press conference now without talking about United trying to kick Hazard off the pitch. United made 14 fouls in the game. The average number of fouls in the Premier League is between 11 and 14, depending on the team.
Yeah. We were kicking Hazard a bit, though, to be fair. Like, especially early in that game.
Yeah, 6 times. There were 5 fouls on him in the first 25 minutes or so, spread around the team. But there is no team punishment here, lads.
The thing that the circumstances, I think, were extremely hostile to our chances of success. Every one of those things that happened removed an extra option. I think it's also arguable that Mourinho removed an extra option by taking Mkhitaryan off when the sending off happened. That wasn't his only choice at that point. And certainly he could maybe have even brought Carrick on instead of Fellaini.
Right, to retain a bit of possession.
Yeah, but, this is, I think at that point, it's not the worst decision in the world, is it, to bring Fellaini on and take Mkhitaryan off at that point. Lots of people later on in the game sort of saying, oh, he should have taken off Rashford and played Mkhitaryan as a false nine. And you think, imagine the criticism that would have followed if he'd taken the one striker off the pitch.
No, my only criticism there is that we're still under the pretense that Fellaini can do anything other than get on the back stick and nod it in. I mean, that's his only useful. Useful. Yeah,
it's not the right week to talk about this because you're missing the second half of FC Rostov where Maro and Zidane turned up.
No, I saw it. Yes, yeah, no, lovely chest control from the fella. But that's his two. He's number one and number two most useful traits are the left and the right elbow. Number three and number four is chest control and being able to nod it in at the back stick. We've seen those two things this week, haven't we? But apart from that, he can't defend at all. He's just a horrible defender. So putting him in the middle of the park to defend is always counterproductive. But look, still, picking on one thing there, generally speaking, I don't think United could have done much more, aside from the last 10 to 15 minutes of that game against Chelsea, and they just didn't gamble. At all. And, maybe you say they were tired or whatever, but it felt like they'd accepted a defeat, narrow defeat, and walk away, say, hey, it was the circumstances what robbed us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is never ideal, but I think some of the criticism that he's received in the wake of that game has been just way, way over the top because it was such difficult circumstances. And then we flash forward to the Thursday night after the Rostov game, and we're talking about Pogba and expectations and the criticism around him. And one of the things that hasn't been discussed nearly enough in the analysis of Pogba is how much football he's played in the last year and a half, because there was the weight of expectation on him in the summer was absolutely, immense, and so he had this very kind of physically and emotionally draining summer in terms of playing for France, and then the kind of expectation around the move to United. There's no proper pre-season, and he plays 90 minutes every game, and so eventually, after the Rostov cocktail, his hamstring went unsurprisingly pop, and you can imagine Raymond Verheyen going, look, this right here is what we call an avoidable muscle injury.
Yeah, well, no, for sure, absolutely for sure. I mean, in our match preview on the website, Liam said that this was the game that Pogba had to be rested in. And lo and behold, he gets injured. He's played more games than any other player for United this season, including De Gea, who you'd think being in goal wouldn't be that tired. Obviously mentally tired and all of that, and he needs to be sharp being in that position, but not as physically tired as Pogba clearly is. And he will get 3 weeks rest now, but 3 weeks recovering from injury is not 3 weeks or even a week of proper rest, is it? It's a very different thing, and he's going to be trying to build up that fitness again. Worst possible way of having the rest, really.
We got a tweet from @Hez133 literally before that game with the number of minutes played. So it's 3,587, and I guess that is all the competitions that Who Scored measure minutes for. He says De Gea has played 2,970 minutes, and asked whether we were burning Pogba out. And obviously, that was a very prescient tweet because.
Well, I mean, Mourinho admitted it, and he said it was because of fatigue. And, of course, he didn't take any criticism himself there because, one couldn't possibly do that. He has overused him. And, there's a question about Zlatan when Zlatan comes back from his enforced absence, whether he could have done with a rest earlier in the season. I mean, maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise for Zlatan having to sit out 3 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he's been used an awful lot as well.
Yeah, and in a way, it's kind of the ideal combination of rest and activity for Zlatan because he got to play the Europa League games, so he could keep himself, kind of involved and like keep all the motors running, but then get some proper rest in between. So that's maybe the ideal balance there. Oh, by the way, Ed, as people will know when they're listening to this is episode 300 of our podcast. The 300th Rantcast. That's a lot of Rantcasts.
It is a lot. I wonder if there's anyone out there who's had to listen to all 300.
This is what I was wondering. There cannot be anyone that's listened to all of them. If you have, drop us a line on Twitter. But to celebrate, and talking of Zlatan, we've got a lovely giveaway from the good people at The Art of Football, who you can follow at art_of_football on Twitter. Their fantastic explosive Zlatan t-shirt. So if you want to win this, just tell us what your favourite Zlatan goal was this season, and why. The why is key. Like it's going to be based on who makes us chuckle the most, mostly. So just use hashtag Rantcast and put in what your favourite Zlatan goal of the season was and why to win an Art of Football t-shirt. So yeah, that Rostov game was not much of a spectacle, was it?
The second one, no. Neither of them. No, it was very, very, very dull. United probably playing at about 90% or so, I'd say. Another tactical change from Mourinho. Played three at the back there. He's sort of switched between 3s and 4s in the last few weeks, hasn't he? Or 7s and 4s.
I mean, I think mostly he's only really played 3 at the back against Rostov, because I think people said he played 3 at the back against Chelsea, and then the end of the game against Borough, that was a weird thing. We'll come on to that. But against Chelsea, Jones was not playing in defence in that game. He was definitely playing in midfield, man marking Hazard, wasn't he?
Yeah, sort of.
But yeah, that was and you mentioned Fellaini's chest control, but actually it wasn't just his chest control. The thing about Fellaini is at least 10 times for Manchester United, he has played really well. My friend Cal Gildart looked it up and went through all his performances and reckons that this was about 8 or 9 weeks ago, reckons that Fellaini's probably had about 15 good games for United, about 10 of which were excellent. And actually, his all-round play was very good. It wasn't just the chest control. It was also what he then subsequently did with the ball. And this never lasts when Fellaini does it, but it is worth saying he has it in him. It's just such a small percentage of the time. It's absolutely not worth gambling on and hoping it happens.
Yeah. It is terrible. It's just 15 good games in 3 years. 3.5 years.
It's not good.
Yeah,
it's not good numbers.
It's not good numbers. It's rather like Rooney. I don't want to, dog on the guy too much, but he's never been a Manchester United standard player, and it's amazing that he still is a Manchester United standard player. But changes do happen. Look at Antonio Valencia. We mocked the guy for a number of seasons, didn't we? And he's having a fantastic season at right back. Switched to the right wing today, and what does he do? Score his first goal in 3 years.
Yes!
All down to his own skill, of course.
So shall we abandon all pretense of talking about these terrible games that have happened in our absence? Which, by the way, if anyone listening doesn't follow us on social media, Ed, congratulations. Congratulations are in order. This has been an enforced podcast break of the good variety, hasn't it?
Yes. Still don't have a name for...
How is little Marawan doing?
Yeah. No, I'm going hipster. I'm just going to call him Fellaini as a first name. Yeah.
That is kind of a call for... I think that kind of works, to be honest. I wouldn't be fully against it.
Yeah, stick a beanie on
Henrik.
him and off you go. Yeah, pair of Warby Parkers.
It was the Rostov game, wasn't it? So it was Mkhitaryan scored, right? Was that what was I can't even remember that we won that game. No, Mata scored. So you can call him one. Oh, no, it was the first Rostov game, which was the Mkhitaryan goal. So Henrik. Got to call him Henrik. Let's
call him Henry. No, I don't think so. Yeah, there's me streaming the game on my phone. Very good stream, by the way. In the hospital. Yeah.
You are a parody of a 1950s dad, but with access to 21st century technology there, Ed.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No, all well one more to add to the rank crew.
Yeah. When are we getting him on the pod?
He's probably got to talk first, just a little bit.
Okay. All right, cool. But yeah, so after the terrible Rostov game came a comfortable trip to the Riverside, a great starting 11 that everyone was happy with, and we walk away 3-1 winners, no bother.
Yeah. Again, a very low-quality game, although I think we probably thought that it would be, looking at the team lineup before the game. Really only Marcus Rashford and late in the game, Jesse Lingard managed to add some quality for United, running with the ball. They looked dangerous most of the afternoon. The rest of it, not great from United. Loads and loads of possession. Middlesbrough, a terrible side. United couldn't really string much together, but managed to get away with 3 goals. I'm not sure the performance was meriting 3 goals, but in the circumstances, given how tired the team are, given the changes that have had to be made with all the injuries and suspensions and another change in formation, a really, really fine win.
Yeah, just so important, isn't it? It's just it was the kind of game that you really can't afford. We obviously couldn't afford to drop points because we've already had so many games where we couldn't afford to drop points where we have. Yeah, I mean, I think 3-1 doesn't particularly flatter us. If you think about the kind of all the Rashford chances and half chances that he kind of carved out in the first half with his excellent running, he was just electric until just in front of goal, wasn't he? A couple of slightly misplaced passes and finishes that he, I guess, would expect to do better. Oh yeah, that Chelsea one, people have been having a go at him for not scoring when he got the ball and ran half the length of the pitch and then couldn't.
No, it was a world-class save by Courtois, just done brilliantly to close down the angle there. Yeah. Not having that at all.
Me neither. I just thought it was important that we have an official Rankcast declaration on people having a pop at Rashford for that nonsense. But yeah, he probably should have done better with at least one of his chances against Borough. But the flip side of that is to be critical of a 19-year-old who's had, 3 games at centre-forward this season is just laughable.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of symptomatic of a bigger problem for United. United are 17th in terms of shots to... so chances converted in the Premier League. Worst is, by the way, Borough. United are worst in terms of big chances converted. And, this is just the story of the season, really. This is why they've drawn too many games. And it's certainly not all Rashford's fault, because most of the time he's been playing off the left. And he looks so much more dangerous running through the middle. And it's a pity for him that Valdez pulled off a very good save and for his first chance. And then the second one, I think Rashford should have done better. But, I'm sure it'll come, composure over time. And we've seen it before from him. And I think if you played him 10 games in a row in centre-forward position, he'd be scoring plenty of goals in this team, because United play more through balls than any other team in the league and have had more shots on goal than everyone bar Liverpool. So, creating loads and loads of chances, have a team set up for creating chances and can't take them.
What was interesting today is when I looked at the starting 11, the thing that was most worrying was the potential for that team to really misfire in terms of chance creation, because if you look at the kind of key creative influences in that game, like Carrick and Mata, you could say, well, Carrick isn't all about directly creating big chances, is he? He's about setting up patterns of play and stuff. Mata, you would kind of bank on, but everyone else, you're just hoping they have a good game. Like Lingard, he actually, as it turns out, did have a very good game, both in terms of man of the match for the goal he scored, I guess, but also he did slip through Rashford a good few times, really good weight on passing, really good decision making. But that isn't every time Lingard plays. It's not like that. So that was nice that happened, but it was a worry. Valencia, well, I don't think anyone expected him to play in an attacking capacity in the way that he did, looking at the starting 11. But that you're hoping for the best, and the same with Young. When the best comes, it's great, but it's not always there. So that was a big worry. But actually, it was unfounded, because all of those players played well in that game. Young, and a beautiful cross for Fellaini's goal. It was Palace and City all over again.
Yeah, I mean, the irony is that Young probably has less than 10 assists in his time at United.
I was going to look it up for you.
He has a few more than that, but it's not many. No. The funny thing is that is exactly the kind of thing that some people think that Young does. except he just doesn't.
I was going to look it up for you because I was going to say, he's just increased the percentage of assists he's got for United by like whatever it is, 6% or whatever one assist represents.
I know. Look, some decent performances from United players. Lingard, especially in the second half, looked good, didn't he? Attacking on the break. I thought Rashford was good apart from the finishing. Fellaini did fine in the centre of midfield, scored the goal. The fullbacks did okay. Well, Young did okay. I thought Bailly looked a bit uncomfortable, didn't he? Certainly for the first half. Gaston Ramirez gave him a bit of a tough time. Not so good. The two centre-backs, a bit of a mess. I mean, Mike Smalling, my God. I have to say, on our Rankcast WhatsApp group, you've been shouting the hashtag Smalling out for a while, haven't you? And I've been more of a defender of him. It's hard to defend him after that. That was park football stuff.
Yeah, honestly. He just looks worried all the time. This is the thing. He's constantly terrified and he spreads terror all around him. And, he just had a game today where, he's better than that. He's better than trying to head the ball and the ball's not where he thinks it is. So he just heads mid-air and like air shots in the box for the Borough goal like that. He's just picking his wrong foot to swing at the ball. Those are mistakes born of they're not born of technical ability. Like, he can do all the things he needs to do. They're born of something going on in his head. They're born of lack of confidence or whatever it might be, because that's about microscopic decision-making, and his microscopic decision-making's all over the place at the moment.
Yes, which has been a trait throughout his career, and it was the lack of errors which was the biggest uptick in his last campaign. And half of the previous one, I suppose. So, big decision for Mourinho to make in the summer, really, because although United haven't conceded a lot of goals this season, it's more structural than individual, isn't it? And you do wonder whether if he had two really high-class central defenders, he couldn't go 1v1 a bit more often and then open up a little bit more up front. It's the thing that Fergie always used to say. He said he wanted central defenders who were comfortable in 1v1 situations so the rest of the team could attack. Now, Mourinho isn't quite that as a kind of attacking coach. But I do wonder whether his teams are structured a little bit more rigidly, and that's exacerbated by his lack of confidence in his central defenders. Whichever formation it is, because there's been a hell of a lot of changes in that central defending partnerships this season.
I wonder if he doesn't. I'm sure he would have played Rojo out of choice in this game. I'm not sure, but I suspect he would have played Rocco by preference, but we had Banana Gate, so Rocco was exhausted. Yes.
Have you ever seen a player eat a banana on the pitch before? I'm not sure I have. I've seen tennis players do it, but not footballers.
Jaffa Cakes. Rio Ferdinand had Jaffa Cakes on the pitch, for sure. It makes sense, like, as Mourinho said, have you ever been exhausted? When he was like, I don't know if you've ever been exhausted, but I know what it's like to be exhausted. I know what it's like when the body needs something, anything. The player asks for a banana. The banana is. And then the guy asking the question obviously chuckled, because how could you not? And he says, it is not to laugh. It is to respect.
Respect the banana.
Yeah, the banana is not to laugh. The banana is to respect. And, it was funny just because he gave it to Ashley Young, and Ashley Young carried the banana down the pitch and gave it to him unwrapped as well, which was interesting. Like, unpeeled, I guess. It's not a wrapper, is it?
A bit of a hygiene issue there.
But then my favourite bit of it was that Mourinho finished the little bit of banana that was left in the banana skin. It was the whole...
Yeah, of course, Rojo's probably not worried about hygiene normally because he just burns the out of all the food he has.
This was a pleasing moment in an otherwise terrible game.
Yeah, so, Rojo clearly far more comfortable at centre-back than he is at left-back, far more. But still, big decision because, who of his centre-backs could you truly be happy with? Smalling's had a bad season, Jones in and out, running good form when he was playing with Rojo for a while. Rojo probably had the best of that trio, and Bailly looks good for the most part when he's been in, but he's had a few injury problems, and he was obviously away, and he will be again in not next season after that. So, it's an issue anyway. So I think in the summer, it's pretty obvious United need to buy a really top-class central defender, and I guess one or maybe two will go as a result of that. We'll see.
Even at Bailly's best, you want someone alongside him that he can trust. You just basically, you just don't want Smalling there because of the effect that he has on that back four, the kind of shakiness with which he plays the game, that is undoubtedly his worst quality as a defender, because apart from use of the ball, which he kind of makes up for with good decision-making on the ball. Like, he doesn't give it away that often because he never asks anything of himself with the ball, so fair enough. But apart from that, he's kind of got all the tools that you need defensively. Like, he's actually really good at reading the game. His tackling's obviously excellent. He's good in the air. He's very physically strong. But it's all in his head, and that of everything is kind of makes it make sense when you see the gap between him when he's good and him when he's not, because it is just about how he feels. Some good work with a sports psychologist would go a long way with Chris Smalling, I'd say.
Yeah, he should also practice his shin control a little bit better.
Well, it's not like there's anyone in the United camp that could help with like world-class shin control.
Yeah, well, maybe if he was in the final third, he could do a couple of shin assists. Look, anyway, what does that leave United in? 5th place, is it?
Yes.
Within sight of the Champions League places.
Yeah, and 3 points, worst goal difference, 3 points in a game in hand, although I think that game's against City, but still. That's where we stand in relation. And I think we're 4 points off second at the moment as we record this. That will all change this weekend, potentially.
Yeah, City and Liverpool play today, right? So they'll take points off each other.
Yes, Spurs are currently winning 2-0, so I guess we're not going to be 4 points off second place by the end of this game.
Yeah, whatevs. we need one of those teams. One of those teams to slip up over the last 10 games of the season, don't we? Or it's the Europa League, and United drew Anderlecht, which was probably, apart from Genk, the best draw we could get, I guess. Not too far to travel, not a particularly high-quality team, and you'd think United would be favourites to progress, and that's into the semi-finals of the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, we've got every capacity to not succeed when we're favourites, but we're big favourites for that game. And the travel thing is massive because our fixture list is absolutely ridiculous after the international break. Between the end of the international break and the end of the season, there's just so many games all the time.
Well, it could be another 16 games if United make the Europa League final, which is a hell of a lot, and it's been 48 already this season. So, it's been a brutal schedule with what is not the biggest squad United have ever had. And Mourinho has deliberately narrowed it down, lost 2 players in the winter, and there's quite a few players who haven't played a lot of games until recently. He hasn't rotated really heavily until the last sort of 4 or 5 games, really. And
even so, apart from maybe what you'd say Ashley Young, everyone else has been, he hasn't dipped into the deep reaches of the reserves. Fosu Mensah's still not playing. Schweinsteiger's not playing. Luke Shaw obviously not playing, like he played against Bournemouth and was not very good, sadly.
No, and doesn't, I mean, look, would you expect him to be good? He's barely played, and then you throw him in. I think it's pretty unfair to go, well, that's your test, lad. And sorry, you failed it. Now you're out again.
That doesn't sound like Mourinho at all. An unfair, unpassable test designed only to prove that he was right all along. Who are we talking about here?
I know, quite. So, look, next few games, West Brom, Everton, both at home, Sunderland away, Anderlecht, and then the Chelsea game, and it's a real shame that Chelsea game is pinned in between the 2 Europa League games, isn't it?
Although it's a lot. Is it away or home first? Do you know the Anderlecht game?
It's away at Anderlecht and then home to Chelsea, but it's still Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's just nowhere near as painful, is it? As Russia away on a terrible pitch, a hop across to Belgium. Belgium's barely further than I don't know, if we're drawn against Portsmouth in the FA Cup or something.
Yeah, fair enough. But still, hardly ideal the Thursday Sunday thing. And people say it shouldn't be any worse than Wednesday Saturday, but it does appear to be, especially with the travel when you've got that away one, because it means recovery day is Friday, light training session on the Saturday then travel if you have to. Luckily, United don't have to travel, which, this time round, it was absolutely brutal because they basically didn't get a training session before having to go up to Middlesbrough. And this is why, Mourinho was so sort of, strong in his criticism of the Premier League before that game, or, after the Rostov game, saying that they don't give a damn about, or they don't give an S, I think he said. They don't give a about English teams. And that's right. I mean, the Premier League have been like that for some time. Scheduling is done by the TV companies and not for the benefit of the teams. Mourinho's absolutely right about that. So, we're fortunate it's not as bad, the Europa League draw.
Yeah, but it's luck rather than judgment, isn't it, that makes it that way? And people get really stroppy when Mourinho complains about circumstance, because he does do it to a fault. There's no doubt about it. Keane was absolutely freaking out on ITV. He sort of called Mourinho's post-match stuff disgraceful and said United's reserves could beat Rostov, a team that's beaten PSV, lost by 1 goal to Atletico, I think beat Bayern or at least
beat
drew.
Bayern, beat Bayern at home.
Yeah, so, and has he seen United's reserves? Like, maybe the under-18s would have had a chance, but not the reserves. So that's kind of total nonsense. People were really, like, when I called him out for nonsense, I got loads of people saying that it wasn't, but he literally said United's reserves could beat Rostov, which is
nonsense.
Completely nonsense. And also, he then said, maybe the club's too big for Mourinho. And I'm really sorry, it was a really funny tweet. Someone sent me a tweet, I can't remember who it was, saying, if United's too big for Mourinho, maybe we should think about downsizing because we're too big for everyone at that point. The man won the league with Real Madrid against Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. It's a joke.
Yes, I mean... I do wonder how much of this Keane really believes, or it's just one hot take after another, isn't it? And he's paid to be a pundit, so that's what.
Yeah, but I think it's sincere. I think his brand of his very specific brand of acceptable behaviour is what he truly believes. I don't think he's doing it for show. And lots of people, of course, saying like, oh, he's just bitter about United, which I don't think it's got anything to do with that, really. I think it's just that Roy Keane has very specific opinions about things.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks until the next game, and that's West Brom at home. And the Baggies looking really good at the moment. I mean, obviously, everybody beats Arsenal. Who are far too fixated on their competing plain banners.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like, imagine having two. One was humiliating enough as a club. Two, battling plain banners. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's so Arsenal, isn't it?
Well, you can't say it's so Arsenal when we did it. Like, that's... yeah, I mean, is he going to go? Imagine if he stays. Imagine the toxicity.
No, all the noise is that he's going to sign another 2-year contract because he's in total denial about what is happening. He thinks it's everyone else's fault.
He blamed bad punditry for brainwashing the supporters.
Yeah.
That's some Moyes level business, that is.
I know. I mean, I had to sort of turn off the TV and put on some tinfoil before I remembered Arsenal's trophies over the last 10 years. Yeah, right. He's bonkers. But hey, at least we don't have David Moyes in charge anymore.
Yeah, that's true. So plain banners work. Perfectly reasonable tactic for getting what you want.
I have to say, sort of on a tangent here, I have to admire Moyes' sort of determination to go down with the ship. Sunderland, a truly awful team, clearly going to get relegated. Absolutely no sign that they're trying to pick up. At least, not to the level they need to do. 7 points off safety now, and Moyes is going to go down with them. And it would appear that the owners are quite happy for him to do that.
Well, the only silverware he's ever won is the Championship, so maybe he wants something else to add to his trophy cabinet.
Yeah.
Moyes is quite bad. In his first press conference with Sunderland, his opening press conference, almost everything he said was about laying the groundwork to be able to say, look, I always said this was going to be hard when it didn't work. It's remarkable. And he doesn't do it on purpose. It's unconscious. It's what's going on. It's his default mechanism.
Yeah, maybe we could go and see the same sports psychologist as Mike Smalling.
I'll tell you, both of their careers could be considerably transformed if they dealt with those particular things. Anyway, I guess we should take some listener questions because we've had a lot in our substantial absence, and we'll do a show during the international break and preview the West Brom game then, because we'll have a better idea of whether United will have any players allowed to play by that point.
All right.
Oh, funnily enough, the first question, A. Hardiman saying, "How poor is Smalling fixing the summer?" ? So I think we've covered off that one. At Match of the Dan says, if Zlatan leaves and you can only replace him with Lukaku or Griezmann, who do you choose? Lukaku saying this week that he would not sign a new contract at Everton.
It's an interesting one. Mourinho signed him. I mean, he's the man who sold him.
Yes, of course he would.
I think Griezmann's a better player, but it's hard to see where exactly he fits. He's not a natural number 9, is he? And Lukaku would be, and he scored a bag load of goals, hat-trick. No, not hat-trick, 2 goals at the weekend. He's got more, 21 now for the season. He could hit 30 for a decent Everton side. I mean, they're a good Everton side, but not a great Everton side. It would be a remarkable achievement. And he's only 24 or something. So plenty of years left in him. He would be a very, very good number 9. Griezmann, outstanding quality player, just a world-class player. It's a little less obvious where he fits in the team, given that United have Mata and Mkhitaryan and Martial and Rashford, and a whole bunch of players who are, in the same sort of paradigm of touch players, all with a lot of pace, except for Mata.
Mata's got a lot of pace relative to his size. He's just only got equal legs, hasn't he? The thing about Lukaku, I was on the Full-Time Devils preview for Rostov, and we had a long chat about Lukaku. And my main issue about signing him would be about Rashford. Because the thing about Zlatan was never opposed to someone coming in and being the number 9 ahead of Rashford this season. But if you're saying we're buying in someone to be our number 9 for the next 5 years, then, I know there's a lot of games, but actually that really does then limit the options unless you really commit to rotation in a way that doesn't come naturally to Mourinho. So, I think I would go for Griezmann on that basis, but Lukaku's obviously in there. If Lukaku comes to United, I'm sure I'd massively fall in love with him because what a player,
Yeah. I mean, look, either way, there do need to be some attacking changes in the summer because United have fallen short there. And Zlatan 20 how many goals? 25 goals in all competitions, something like that. 15 in the league, but a really poor conversion rate, and that's. I don't know whether that's just Zlatan being Zlatan or it's some sharpness is gone. So he's got a great number of goals in an average United side, but it should have been a lot more. Yeah,
because we're not an average side when it comes to creating chances. We're far above average side in that particular sphere. At fund_space says, what does it mean when Mourinho feels he needs to play 4 centre-backs and a back 6 against the mighty Middlesbrough? We didn't really talk about this during the discussion about the game, but actually when United went 2-0 up, they just did the thing they've been doing all season, which doesn't make any sense and completely retrenched. And that wasn't before it even became tactical when he took off Mata and brought on Rocco. Just the mentality of the team, they just shrink when they go 2-0 up.
Right, yeah, and it almost cost United, didn't it? I mean, I know it's 3-1, but Middlesbrough were attacking for the last 15 minutes there and putting a lot of pressure on United. Horrible goal to concede, but they created another couple of chances. And we were very fortunate to get a comedy goal for the third. So I don't think it helped United at all. Clearly got better players than Middlesbrough. Just keep the bloody ball. That's a much better way of defending than retrenching to a back 6 and hoping that Mike Smalling doesn't make a mistake.
And I guess some of it was about fatigue, mental fatigue and physical fatigue and the kind of pressure that comes with, and that almost the kind of relief and complacency that comes when you go 2-0 up. 2-0 is not a dangerous scoreline statistically, of course it's not, but there is a thing that can happen at 2-0 at 65 minutes, which is that you switch off because you think the job's done when obviously it very clearly isn't. OSing91 says, how happy is LVG today? Fellaini and Lingard both scored and Valdez makes a major mistake, although no possession or fullback subs. He did bring on Damian at the end. He did bring on extra fullbacks, which is a sort of ultimate LVG tribute. It's not swapping them, it's bringing on extra ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was delighted watching the young Fellaini combination work so wonderfully. This is a really interesting question, which I think is worthy of discussion, because I've thought about it a lot and I don't know what my answer is. Prayag says, what do you feel about Mourinho thinking that the whole world is against us? He said, we have a lot of enemies. And obviously, part of this is shtick.
Yeah.
But
it's the thing he does, yeah.
It's not all shtick. It does come from a real place.
Well, look, there of course are a lot of rival supporters who hate United. Everyone's most hated team is United, for the most part. And I guess that gives a sense of the world against United. There's a sort of media narrative as well, because it gets the most viewers. United do. They get the most column inches and so on. And it's and a positive story isn't the best story. I don't know if there's the real thing that matters. I don't know whether Mourinho really means this, but whether he means the FA and the Premier League and referees are against United. I don't believe that. I don't think there's any evidence for that. Referees make mistakes. Scheduling has been crappy, but that's much more about money than some kind of anti-United agenda. I think this is a way of circling the wagons. He feels he can get the best out of his players like that. If he can, great. It's not too cringeworthy at the moment. We know Mourinho, and sometimes he goes over the top with it. And I think at the moment it's just within the bounds of okay.
Yeah, to me the post Rostov interview was like 2 steps over the bounds of okay, but 2 small steps. Not like miles away from the line was not a dot to him. But it isn't. There is a kind of like he's kind of a bit kind of screaming, come on, we need a siege mentality. Oi, let's have a siege mentality, everyone. There's a kind of like slightly overstated version of it, which I'm not 100% convinced is effective, but I also don't think it's the complete disaster that some people would have you believe, or would think, not would have you believe. At A Gaskell 88 says, Jesse's best game in the United shirt for me. Finally looked like a senior player, being decisive and important to the team. Against Borough, that is. I think that's fair. He's had good games in the United shirt before. He was really good against West Brom at home when he scored that real good goal. He's been obviously good in all the cup finals because they happen at Wembley. But yeah, I thought he was excellent today.
Yeah, very good with United breaking. A couple of poor choices for passes. He had a chance near the end of the game. Rashford down the left, Mata down the right. Could have played either ball. Basically played none until it was too late and United lost the chance. So, the decision-making not always great. Maybe you should just cut on the outside and add a shot because that he's good at.
Yeah, I was gonna. Maybe he was like waiting for the defenders to backpedal at rapid pace to allow him the space for a shot. But no, and I think generally one of the really outstanding qualities of his performance against Borough was his decision making and that like through ball after through ball that Rashford was able to get on the end of. So
right. For the most part. And the shocking thing, he scored an absolute worldie, and it wasn't at Wembley.
Yeah, exactly. It was like almost as far away from Wembley as you can get while still playing in English football. Our friend Simon Stevens says, how shattered is our squad? And related to that, when was the last time we played really well? When did we last play really well? I'm going to have to look at the fixtures to say that.
Well, quite a long time ago. St Etienne at home played pretty good. Leicester away, pretty good at Leicester away.
Leicester away, that's the one. Because St Etienne at home was slightly horrendous in the first half.
West Ham away, pretty good there too. All right. Very controlled against West Brom away. Good baggy side. So I don't know. There haven't been tons of stunningly good performances from United this season, have there? There've been a few where the goals have gone in, but not too many that you're going to remember in 10 years' time.
Not that you would remember this in 10 years' time necessarily, but Watford at home on the 11th of February. If Ibrahimovic had his shooting boots on that day, that would have been 1,000,000. But as it was 2-0. It was a very all-round impressive performance. So I would say that was maybe the last good one, and Leicester before that, a couple of days before that. At Lucas_MUTD says, which was your most favourite Rantcast recording among the 300 episodes? Surely there must be some more memorable ones. I think that my very favourite recording experience was probably the Champions League final in 2011. Obviously, we were gutted by the end of that. But the process of recording that in Wetherspoons in northwest London with an absolutely incredible atmosphere, that was pretty special, I think.
I guess it's, the ones after the big games. The funny thing is, started in 2009. I've won, a couple of titles in that time? And 2 league titles, a couple of league cups, an FA Cup, a couple of Champions League finals. I guess they're all the highlights. The 2013 season would have been the real highlight, wouldn't it? Since then, it's been a lot of moaning, basically.
The one that never went on the proper podcast feed after we signed Robin van Persie, just because I've just got this image of sat next to you on the couch at your mum's flat, because you were up in Birmingham visiting, and you were quite drunk and just had this big grin on your face. It was really good. That was good. Also, the one after the FA Cup semi-final last season, I just couldn't talk, but there was so much to talk about that was fun. For me, loads of the guest interviews, I know it's kind of become a running joke that I say I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by, but it's just always true, because there always are guest interviews with people that I've wanted to speak to. So,
what would you say if Moisey agreed to come on the pod? Just,
Oh, really?
I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by David Moyes.
Would we say yes if Moyes wanted to come on the bus?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. You might have to do that one. On a related note, this is the self-indulgent podcast section, at Heinlein says, happy 300th podcast, guys. Thank you. What do you expect United to look like when you hit 400? So 400 is probably 2 years away. So we'll be in the middle of the post-league title win Mourinho complete meltdown.
Yeah, more like 3 years away.
Okay.
I think we don't need 50 a season, do we?
No, that's true. Okay.
We'll be just coming up to a Champions League quarter-final and defending our trophy.
Yeah, winning the league under Antonio Conte.
That's right, yeah. We'll be talking about whether Wayne Rooney will be going in the summer.
People will still be telling us he should be given a run at number 9.
Wow. Well, so you set us the task before this.
Yeah, this is a Rantcast listener question from me.
Yeah, of naming your favourite 11 over this period. So we started in the summer, or just before the start of the 09-10 season, is that right?
Yeah.
So just after the Champions League final.
Yeah.
So Ronaldo had gone, so he can't be in any of our teams.
No.
Can we put together an 11? Well, I guess we're probably going to agree on the goalkeeper.
Yes,
right?
I'm not sure that one's particularly controversial. Ben Foster.
So Sergio Romero.
We both same gag, different keepers, both terrible. Although Romero, very good game against Rostov. Mourinho's just
Flappy Serge did well.
I guess he'll play against Anderlecht at this point. I think there was a story doing the rounds that Romero was thinking about going, and Mourinho's really keen to keep him because obviously he's a very high quality second keeper. He would be a perfectly good Premier League goalkeeper for teams aiming to get to mid-table.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So and back for tricky one really, because there haven't been any last 5 years or so. There haven't been anyone that's been any good really. So it's Ferdinand Vidic in the middle for me and Ever at left back. I can't see past any of that.
No, that's the same for me. Although it's by default really, because one of the criteria was this is their form during this period. So obviously it's Ferdinand Vidic all time, obviously, but this is kind of mostly this was the bad period, but not really, because it didn't really start getting terrible until Moyes, did it?
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. And I think Ferdinand Vidic were good through to the Champions League final in 2011. So
yeah.
Right back, this is a hard one because, we've had a few right backs that just about had Gary Neville in this time, although obviously it was bad Neville.
Yeah.
We've had Rafael, we've had Fabio, and we've had Valencia this season. And I guess, just based on his form this season, I'd pick Valencia because he's turned himself into, if not the best right back in the Premier League, very close to it, which is remarkable given what a liability he was when he first started playing this position.
I've got my 2012-13 specs on here where I say Rafael da Silva, like his performance that season was magnificent in winning us the league. And given that Valencia's had also, they've both had bad games, but no, I'm just going with Rafael because Valencia's good form hasn't won us the league yet.
No.
Rafael guided us to it single-handedly.
Yeah. Yeah. Ignoring Robbie and Van Persie and all of that. In midfield, definitely Carrick for me. I know he's getting older, but he's been a really important part of the United side over the last 8 years. And Juan Mata, just on the basis of his numbers, really. I know he takes a lot of criticism, but he's got great numbers for a midfield player in terms of goals and double figures in goals this season again, and assists. Some inconsistency there, but you look through United's midfielders over the last 8 years, and it's not always been very good, has it? It hasn't been a big problem. So I was really struggling with the wide players, and maybe you'll come up with an idea here because I don't think I can have Giggs or Scholes because they were aging.
I picked Scholes alongside Carrick from 2009 to now. I think Carrick. I've gone for 4-2-3-1, and so I've got Carrick and Scholes as my two holding midfielders because I think they've done that job the best in that time.
Yeah, but this is properly old Paul Scholes, and part of it was retired Paul Scholes. So.
No, yeah, but even properly old Paul Scholes was just fun. Carrick and Scholes was our best midfield combination when in Scholes' last season. So I know it wasn't great, but I would definitely and actually. From 2009 to 2011, there's a lot of really good Paul Scholes left in those first couple of years of podcasting.
Yeah, guess so.
The City goal, kissing Gary Neville, all that, that happened.
That was a good moment, but then you pick Michael Owen, wouldn't you, based on one goal? He's not.
Why? How do you know? You don't know who's up front for me yet. That might be the
very true. Some notable mentions here for other United midfielders over this period. Darren Fletcher,
Oh yeah. No, he's good.
Yeah. Anderson.
This was actually really sadly, this was Darren Fletcher really after the illness hit him as well. So that's not.
Yeah.
Anderson had 10 really great games in the 9 years we've been doing this. As Tom Cleverley probably had 3.
Cleverley. Park.
Yeah.
And I guess you've got to say Rafael.
I have gone for, as my 3 attacking midfielders, I've gone for Mkhitaryan, Mata and Martial. Which I think that's kind of interesting, but actually really heartening when I was thinking about this because out of everyone that we've got to watch in those roles, they're definitely the 3 I would most enjoy watching in the role. I think Martial had that wonderful season last season, and actually when he's been called upon this season has been real good. And Mkhitaryan has just, obviously he's played the fewest games by miles of anyone on this list, but he's absolutely lit up the place. He's just a dream.
He has for about 10 games. Yeah, so I think I don't know whether I could pick him.
I'm having him. He's in our team, and we're allowed. He covers the bases.
And up front, you've only left space for one striker, which means you can only have Rooney or Van Persie. I would have picked both.
Ooh, yeah, that's so. Ooh.
See, I wouldn't have Mkhitaryan because I don't think he's earned it. And I'd go for Rooney and Van Persie.
Drop Mkhitaryan, play Mata on the right because he actually has played most of his games for United on the right. Martial on the left. Rooney and Van Persie up front. Yeah, you talked me into it. So I think we've almost got consensus. If we go for, say I drop my Rafael campaign and we go for De Gea, Valencia, Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra, and then we go for Mata, Carrick, Scholes, Martial, and Rooney, Van Persie up front.
So it's a decent side. It's not a great side, is it? How do you think that side would have fared against, say, the 99 side or the 2008 Champions League winning side? I think both would have beaten this side.
At their peak, though, there's a lot of really good players in that team. Like, the Van Persie is phenomenal. We've got 2 30-goal seasons from Rooney to pick from. Ferdinand and Vidic, like the very tail end of their prime, probably got covered by this period. So there's some real good players in that. I think if you think of the kind of plodding worst of them, then it would be bad. But it's not a bad side.
Yeah, very good.
I think very good. Let's do just a few more listener questions before we call it a day, given it is episode 300 and we're not doing any previews. At Lloyd Stokes LLO1 says, were you slightly disappointed Valencia didn't smash it in a la Marcus Rashford? You had thoughts on
Yeah, well, actually, I was disappointed he didn't get down on his knees and head it in. I mean, come on. One time in your career you have a chance to do that.
Yeah. Phil Hartup on Twitter at Level2Rogue, a brilliant tweet when I said all 4 goals were the result of absolutely terrible defending, and he goes, technically United's 3rd goal was a result of really good defending by them because Middlesbrough can't score if we hammer it into the back of the net. Which is kind of a good tweet, I thought. Which winning United goal did you celebrate the most, like crazy levels, leaving aside our 99 Champions League winner, says at Gadfather?
Well, why do we have to leave aside the 99 Champions League winner?
You just have to leave it. You have to leave that one out. You just got to leave it out. What was the one apart? What was the goal you celebrated the second most?
Ever. Steve Bruce scoring against Sheffield Wednesday when I fell down the stairs.
Yeah. Watching on TV, that might be mine. Or maybe Cantona's against Newcastle in 97? 96? 97.
Yeah.
March 97.
So I didn't actually fall down the stairs. I fell over the seats. So, he's gone crazy. Someone's fallen into the back of me. I've fallen down the seats. I get up and the next thing I see is Brian Kidd on his knees on the pitch. And I'm like, what's going on?
I think in person, easily Martial's winner in the semi-final. I just completely lost it at that. It was because I have only really started going to United regularly in my later years. So yeah, that was definitely that. Why does every podcast think I need a website or a razor? Asks at 987_Sean. Honestly, I just cracked and signed up to Cornerstone just so I was supporting podcasting in general because I've never bought anything off Squarespace or any of the ones that stamps.com. Like Mark Maron really hates going to the post office. All our defenders have matching yellow boots, says at Aaron McCarthy. Is it planned like a boy band? Such a terrible boy band. I'm
not in favour of yellow boots.
No, don't. Oh no, you're going to go with what's wrong with black boots, aren't you, Ed?
No, I really couldn't get. Of all the things in modern football that might annoy me, boot colour isn't.
Okay, it's a great question from at Joel Downings, who says, which members of the current squad will reach 300 United appearances? Only Rooney and Carrick have 300 currently.
Yeah. Some of the younger players could do. Rashford, Lingard, Martial could do. Depends how long they stay at the club. Also, depends how long Mourinho stays at the club, because the thing about changing managers is you change a whole host of players as well. Valencia, he's got quite a lot, hasn't he? Hasn't he got more than 300 appearances for United now? Carrick clearly has. Rooney clearly has. Of the others, I'm not sure.
So Antonio Valencia has 219 starts and 60 substitute appearances, so he's on 279 overall. Are there any other players? So I guess he's definitely going to hit it. It doesn't look to me like there's any other players troubling 300 that are currently in the squad. I mean, yeah, Pogba you'd think could get there. Oh, David De Gea, if he stays another couple of seasons, is going to get there because he's on 259 now.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a whole bunch of young players who could make it there. We'll see. Jones and Smalling have been at the club a long time now. Depends how. I'm not sure that they should be at the club much beyond
Smalling's on
summer.
234 appearances, including subs.
Right.
Jones is on 12.
Eric Bailly's only 22. He stays a decade at the club. He's going to reach that.
Yeah. So, it's possible. It's possible.
At this rate, Fellaini will probably make it to 600 United appearances.
Some doing get to 300 United appearances. There are only 56 people that have ever done it. Nemanja Vidic on exactly 300 appearances is the 56th most record appearance member. No one in the current United squad is going to get to 963 appearances, though.
No.
All right, shall we... one more. At Dan_B94, is Antonio Valencia our player of the season?
Not sure, but I think it's hard to say there's been, a definite outstanding performer. I mean, Zlatan's obviously got all the goals. Should have had a lot more, and there have been some pretty dodgy performances. Pogba's been brilliant, and they're not brilliant. Depends where you set the bar in terms of, expectations or just versus other players. Herrera's been very good at times and not. Mata, same there. So, a lot of candidates and no outstanding choice.
No, and it's kind of interesting. I'm sure Ibrahimovic will just win all the awards, though. Like, he'll definitely win Players Player, won't he? And I suspect he'll probably win Fans Player too. But it'll be interesting to see what the kind of critics say, like the people that not necessarily the kind of popularity contest bits, but the analysis people. I'll be interested to see who they've all got, because there's a lot of pros and cons on each. Talking of pros and cons on each, the pros of doing 300 podcasts vastly outweigh the cons. Massive thank you to everyone who has listened to us over these years. And if you are the person that's listened to all of them, let us know. And an extra huge thanks to everyone that's chosen to support us over on Patreon, where we run a crowdfunding thing for this podcast to keep it going for hopefully another 300 episodes. Although I don't know whether that'll happen, but it's a possibility at this point.
Well, it's made an awful lot easier by our producer Tom, who's been doing this for 4 years now. I don't know how many he's edited, but it's got to be well over 100.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the Rankcast MVP, and Patreon backers would have heard from producer Tom on the last show we did. And if they stay tuned, if you do back us, you get yourself access to some extra content every week, and you can stay tuned. Get involved over at patreon.com/rankcast if you want to add your name to that list. And we'll be back with another podcast, we think, during the international break, all being possible for you, Ed. Because if you need to take paternity breaks, we're a conscientious employer here at the Rankcast.
Is that right? No. Let's do it, and we can hopefully talk about all the mysterious injuries United players have picked up just before heading off for their national team games, and therefore not playing. I'm going to assume that Mourinho's going to pull a few tricks there. And the ones that do play, well, fingers crossed that they don't all get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see you next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.